I never thought I'd find myself related to a situation like this, but I am absolutely in the business of holding people accountable for their actions, so I'd like to share what I know about the situation between CreepShow Art and Emily Artful. In the interest of preventing doxing, I'm not going to include any information that might put someone in danger, but if it becomes necessary for either a court case, or if things get wildly out of control, I can provide more specifics. I met Shannon my freshman year of college in 2011. We shared an English class, and worked on a group project together. Outside of that, at the time, we didn't have much contact. I ended up leaving that school and attending a community college that was close to my hometown. At that school, I ended up meeting my abuser. She ended up completely separating me from my entire support group, and I lost nearly all of my friends. There was a period of a few months where my abuser and I broke up, and this is when I reconnected with Shannon. Shannon ended up at the same community college, saw me on campus, and stopped me to say hi. I was desperate to make new friends, so this seemed like a blessing. She was fine at the beginning. We'd just hang out and share music, but she became concerning very quickly. It started her with introducing me to Anthony's music. She told me that he was her ex. They were still in a sexual relationship. The way he treated her seemed very unhealthy, and I told her as such, but Shannon was insistent he was good for her. Eventually, she shared one of Anthony's music videos that featured Emily, and told me that Emily was also Anthony's ex. Shannon told me that Emily was crazy, and Anthony only kept her around because she was a good singer, among other things. For the next while, every time Shannon and I would hang out, she would fixate entirely on Emily. She would point out all of what she perceived as Emily's flaws, would talk about how all of her tattoos were related to Anthony somehow, everything she could to put her down. I thought it was strange to fixate so much on an ex's ex, but I was desperate for anyone to help me out of the situation I was in, so I ignored a lot of the red flags. I haven't really been able to forgive myself for that, especially considering what came next. Shannon began to cyberstalk Emily, first starting by finding her YouTube page. She shared her videos with me, and I naively thought that was harmless, and it would go no further. But Shannon started looking for her home address, her phone number, or any other info she could find. Shannon told me how she had plans to harass Emily, either by sending her letters or prank calling her home, how she planned to leave hate messages on her videos, or DM her from burner accounts to spread hate. This is when I began to distance myself from Shannon. The distance led me back to my abuser, which is a different story. But one of my last interactions with Shannon was her proudly showing that Emily had posted a video about closing her YouTube channel because of the harassment she was receiving. Emily talked about how much it hurt to lose something that was important to her, but she was also anxious and in pain from the targeted harassment that she couldn't continue. It was at that point that I began to cut Shannon off. I felt guilty since that day, that I didn't do anything sooner, that I didn't go to the police with what I knew, or at least attempt to talk with Shannon to tell her what she was doing wasn't okay. But I was battling my own demons, and none of that seemed like an option. Over the years, I would occasionally receive cryptic messages from Shannon at weird hours of the night, usually just a single emoji, or a strangely written greeting. This caused me to block her on most of my social media. Since then, I've deleted or rebranded my online presence to avoid my abuser, but about a year ago, Shannon found all my new accounts, and added me with no contact. I used this as an opportunity to confront her for what she did. Screenshots of that in the next tweet. I made it a habit to screenshot my actions because my abuser had recently begun to spread incredibly harmful rumors about me. I don't have screenshots of her response because her account has been deleted, but I requested data from my Twitter today to see if I can get it. They then show the DM they sent to Shannon. It starts off with them saying, "Hey there, it's been a while. I'm not sure how you found me, but it's nice to see a face from my past. Glad to see you have a pretty sizable following now, and have found some sort of success. Hope you are doing okay other than that. Life is pretty wild nowadays. When we last talked, we engaged in some very concerning behavior. I was in a really dark place from Victoria, and you were basically my only friend. So I just ignored how bad everything was, and that was very wrong of me. What began as what appeared at the time, a fun little thing to learn more about someone you had tangential connections with, quickly developed into cyberstalking, bullying, and harassment. What happened was not okay, and I should have said something sooner. I should have said something at the time, but I didn't. And that has really weighed on me over the years, so I guess I'm saying something now. We were younger and dumber, but we still should have known better. It seems like a lot of your content is focused on calling out people who have had similar behavior, and I hope that's a sign that you've changed for the better. I'd like to believe that you've changed quite a bit since we last spoke, and a whole lot has damaged me. I've made great efforts to cut off large portions of my life from when we were friends. I'm concerned. I'm very hesitant to let people into my life as it stands. I'm not accusing you of anything malicious, or that you have bad intentions. I've just got conspiracy theory brain nowadays. Victoria constantly stalked me for years after we officially broke up. And once she finally lost her last shred of contact with me, she started spreading extremely malicious lies about me, so she could have some sort of control. I lost a lot because of it, and I've learned not to trust things and not believe in coincidences. It might not be a true lesson, but it is a lesson I learned. I've deleted my Facebook. I'm fairly certain I have you blocked on Instagram, which was either something Victoria had me do, or I did in an effort to distance myself from my past / get over the guilt. I'm not sure exactly what the reason is, but it's fair to give you an explanation. I know I've rebranded my social media presence after we stopped talking, so I feel like to find me you'd have to be actively looking for me, or you've been keeping tabs on me ever since, and either situation sets off a whole lot of alarms in my head. Again, I'm not accusing you of doing anything malicious. I'm accusing me of paranoia, but I am still concerned. And double again, I really genuinely hope you are doing well. It just stresses me out a whole lot to have contact with anyone from that part of my life. I'm sorry. Kevin continues the thread by saying, Victoria, referenced in that screenshot, is my abuser. I use language that includes myself in the past actions, because I was afraid of her targeting me if she hadn't changed, and I just came out completely confronting her. Shannon's response was to brush off accountability, saying, we were just dumb kids. She also insisted that she found me naturally, which didn't make sense as we had no similar circles, and I had an even smaller following back then. She immediately said she would block me so I didn't have to be concerned about her, which didn't seem like an action a guiltless person would take. I thought it was over. I didn't know how much she was doing to hurt other people. But it seems like she never really changed from when I knew her. My heart goes out to everyone she hurt, and everyone who thought they could trust her. This is such a terrible situation, and if anyone needs an ear, please feel free to reach out. If it becomes necessary, I can reopen my Facebook and try to download the data there, as I believe I have further evidence of Shannon's behavior. But I hope this chapter can close, and people can find some way to heal from the damage she's caused.